Give me a reason why we play these games. I can find my own beat, moving to the front seat.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So welcome. This is my first episode with a guest spotlight. Tonight we are featuring Zach, goes by Shoyei. I'm super excited to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to my dojo.
Yeah. Ooh, dojo.
Shoyei's dojo.
So before I really dive into the questions I actually had planned, I kind of want to see how your creative process might have changed or evolved or since quarantine and everything that's been going on. I think it's really awesome that you and Nick were doing all of the live streaming. I think it really kept people going, honestly. Like, I looked forward to that every weekend. So how's it
Thank
been?
you.
How's it been going?
Well, my creative process has changed a lot. Because like I can't really meet up with artists and collab or anything like I normally do. And also quarantine coincided with me buying a bunch of new gear and learning new forms of writing music. So it's changed considerably.
Yeah. So for the better, you would say then?
Yeah.
Kind of building your craft.
Well, I mean, it's my whole like philosophy around how I write music and what I want to write has been changing a lot lately. So, yeah, I can share more if you want.
I do.
But
I am intrigued. I think we might get into it a little bit with
some other questions.
some of the other questions. So what does an average day look like for you?
An average day pre-COVID or post-COVID?
Your favorite kind of day?
My favorite kind of day was pre-COVID, where I would actually wake up early, go to the gym. It was like my favorite part of the day. And then I do have a full-time job, and so I work like 8 to 5. But I get to come home during my lunch and walk the dog and make myself a nice lunch. So I don't know, it's pretty luxurious.
Yeah, that is a nice luxury to have.
And then when I get home, Casey and I will make dinner and we'll watch like one episode or something, and then I come up here for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I feel like this would be such a oasis for you.
This is my sanctuary, my dojo.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so what do you guys binge watch though? Like, what's your go-to?
Currently watching Dark.
Okay. I haven't gotten into that.
It's German. It's really complex, but really intriguing. I can only watch one episode a day because I can only absorb all the information that they put forward in one day.
All right.
Also, rewatching Arrested Development right now.
Classic.
It's so good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so what inspires your sound and what you create?
Like what inspires the sound that I make when I sit down to write is all based on like my current mood and what I've been listening to. But like a bunch of like topics are what like inspires me and like are behind that music, and that's like I'm really inspired by science fiction and politics and justice and anime.
Yeah.
Like basically any sort of media that I'm consuming is like somehow like inspiring and incorporated into like the spirit of whatever I'm doing at the moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what made you get involved in music and producing in general? Like how did you come about?
Yeah, I've been playing the piano since I was 5. But when I got into like my teens, I was way more interested in learning how to compose rather than learning how to play like whatever sheet music my teacher would give me. Until like my middle teens, I became a scenester, as we did. And joined a metal band and did that whole thing for a few years. But during that, like playing metal and hardcore, I was always like more attracted to melody and harmony in the music, and like none of my bandmates ever wanted to like really go there, you know, it's supposed to be heavy and hard. And so in outside of the band, I started like just making stuff with GarageBand on my computer and started learning how to like make computer music, and I really loved it. I got better and better at it. Eventually started like upgrading my gear, and then I joined the reason why I live in Lancaster is because I joined a songwriting group where we got hooked up like writing the score for a documentary, and we had met a guy here who had built a recording studio and needed roommates, so like 4 of us moved here from Kauai.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
And I'm from Washington State originally, but yeah, I was living in Kauai with some friends, moved here, worked on the score, finished it, and everyone kind of left, and I kind of liked it here, and I've been here for 10 years now.
That's awesome.
But
Transplant.
I am a transplant, but living here has got me into, like, I've had more time to just really develop my sound, which is really, you know, turned very pop and dance. I've found that that's like what I'm good at. I've tried to write a bunch of different kinds of music. I've, you know, tried like folk and like pop rock and experimental stuff, and like none of it really sticks for me. I'm like good at pop music.
Yeah.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got to where I am now.
Awesome. Wow, that's great. So, where did your name come from? Shoyei. Is that how you say it?
That is how you say it. It's my middle name.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
It's Okinawan.
What?
It's like an island off of Japan.
Okay.
It was my grandfather's name.
Oh, that's awesome.
And interestingly enough, there are only 2 people that come up when you Google Shoyei. Myself and this doctor who owns the .com, and I have tried to email him to get the .com, and
So many times.
he won't like
give it up.
no.
That's
So I'm relegated to the .net.
right.
But
Not
yeah.
a bad place to be.
No, it's still perfect that I was like born with a unique enough name that like I can leverage it for whatever project I want, because I basically have like internet search dominion
Yeah. Hey,
over
that
it.
makes it so much better for your own algorithm.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So, how does your creative process differ when you're producing other artists or collaborating with other people?
You mean versus like when I just write by myself?
Yeah. And is there, and this is kind of a two-parter, is there a certain genre, you kind of touched on it a little bit with like the dance and pop, but is there a go-to genre when you are working with other artists that you like to stick to?
Yeah, I like, so mostly what I do with artists is like, I have a bunch of ideas in my computer, just like, you know, like 2 bars of some catchy like little beat that I've made, and I'll have an artist come over and listen to a few, and I'm like, does anything inspire you? If anything does, then we'll just go from there. If anything doesn't, we'll just start from scratch and see what happens, which always takes way longer.
Right.
But most of the time somebody will like something that I have, and we'll like work with it. And then we just develop it and go back and forth. Like I try to take an equal part in melody writing and lyric writing, like as they do. I have some control issues.
Yeah.
But
I can find that, I'm sure that's hard from time to time, especially when you have a vision and like an end goal in mind, and trying to like get the creative process to flow together, I'm sure can be interesting.
it is, but like I spent a year producing Tigers and Thieves EP, and like through that whole experience I had I really like got my workflow with other artists down. Like, how do we get through disagreements? When do we put our foot down on something? Like, how do we say things politely and constructively without insulting an artist, which is always really easy to do.
Yeah.
And like I've developed like this I don't know, a strategy for like how to work collaboratively and cooperatively rather than like butting heads.
Right.
And I will give on some things like that I don't think is the right move, but like it's a collaboration and I have to compromise sometimes, and they understand that too. I make it really clear going right into it. But to answer the part B of your question, if there's anything I like gravitate towards, I'm really comfortable in the like French dance like and pop house feel. I'm really inspired by a lot of French artists. Most of my favorite artists are French, and I just like I love the chord structures and the rhythms and the slightly slower tempo of like French house, because it's like it's more in between like 110 120 BPM versus like 120 130 of like most pop music, and I like that laid back but still dancey feel.
Yeah, I do too. So if you could spend a day with anyone in the universe, dead, alive, made up, who would it be?
Kendrick Lamar, hands down.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
He's just like the most inspiring person to me, and I think his personality is so incredibly deep that I would just love to skim just like the surface of who he is and just be around him and feel his energy.
Absorb it,
Yeah.
that creative process for sure.
Definitely K-Dot.
It took me, surprisingly, it took me a little while to get into him. Like, I never listened to his first album. Actually, I didn't start listening to him until Damn, and I had to do some backtracking.
Yeah. Because Good Kid, Mad City is one of my favorite albums ever, and To Pimp a Butterfly is most likely the greatest album that's ever been made.
All right, okay. Yeah.
And
Sydney agrees.
it's one of the greatest works of art that's ever occurred on this planet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I have moments that when I finally I call it jumping on the bandwagon, or get around to diving into an artist that I've always been peculiar about but never really. There's so many plethoras of things.
I did that exact same thing with this album. Mac DeMarco's This Old Dog. Slept on this album for so long, and then I finally listened to it. I'm like, this is a fantastic album.
I feel like people sleep on Mac DeMarco a lot, though.
True. I did for a while.
Yeah. But, and then I kind of kick myself. I'm like, damn, I could have been listening to this 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Interesting question. I've recently decided that it's time to move back to Washington soon.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. So I don't really know what that looks like, because I have a platform here. Pre-COVID, I had regular DJ gigs. People regularly asking me to work on music with them, and a whole network of artists and creative people in Lancaster. This is an incredible community of talented people. So moving to a place where I'm I have no connections, and
What's the music scene like out there? I don't.
I mean, it's definitely more based around rock and indie rock and shoegaze and stuff like that. And also the culture in Seattle is something that I hear a lot from people living there now is it's really hard to make friends.
That's weird.
People just don't talk to each other if they don't know each other, and it's hard to connect. So I'm curious to see what things are like in 5 years, because I don't really know.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm delving into a new writing or music making process as well, which is influencing everything that I do creatively. So I'm excited to see what evolves, but I can't really answer that question.
But you know what's great about technology and the age that we live in? You can do your work from anywhere, and I think COVID maybe has challenged you and maybe reminded you a little bit that you've built such a great community here with the amazing talent that lives in our city, but you can easily take that and expand on it, and like I feel like it can be a gift to these people that aren't easy to make friends with in Seattle, you know. That's kind of how I would look at it if
I received that. I'll try that.
Yeah. Musicians you admire?
Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar is like my most respected artist on the planet, but like my favorite artist is Frank Ocean. I'm obsessed with Frank. Kendrick and Frank are most of what I listen to, and then I listen to a lot of, like just underground house and techno artists. I collect a lot of this stuff that I bring over from the UK. So a lot of like UK underground artists, and mostly I listen to Frank.
Yeah. Frank's the guy. The first DJ that I actually watched spin a vinyl set and that really got me hooked was Star Slinger from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I guess it was 2010. It was I moved to Brooklyn. Yeah, lived in Brooklyn in 2010. And it was the day after Whitney Houston died. So he got up and he was like, I wasn't really planning to start my set this way, but I have to pay tribute to the Queen. And he does this really great like remix to one of her songs, and he like put it on, and I was just mesmerized by like his craft, and I just was hooked ever since. But yeah, they make music way different over there.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. So what creative projects are you currently kind of dabbling in right now?
I've been writing a song for the past few months with Ian Sanchez. He's a local singer, and he is extremely talented. And we've written the song and like worked all the parts out. We just need to like actually go into the studio and record it. I like have the ability to record things here and have them turn out pretty well, but I really, really like where the song is going, and I really want to do it right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to book some studio time, and so hopefully we can get that recorded, mixed, and mastered in the next couple of months.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What does his sound like?
He's a very like trilly R&B, like soul type thing, and he's doing that on top of one of my French dance inspired beats.
Oh,
so
I can't wait.
yeah, it's really good.
I can't wait. Okay, so I ever since I came up into your layer here, I've been really dying to figure out what goes on in your beautiful little nook over there. I don't even know what to call that, but I really want to go and play with it. So can you show me? Can you show me that?
Yes, I can.
All right, let's do it.
This is my modular synth.
Yes.
It is what I've spent all of my money on for the past 6 months.
Okay.
I have sold pretty much everything in my studio that is able to be sold that I'm willing to live without,
Okay.
to buy more of these things.
For this baby right here.
And the way that it works is each one of these is made by a small boutique company. They're all over the world, and they all work together, and they all have different functions, and each one is unique, and like each one of these companies is trying to innovate on like what music technology can do. And so like you put them all together and you can patch them in different ways with these chords.
Even with them being made by a different company?
Yeah, and they all just like are made to work with voltage, and like just little bits of electricity going in between them makes absolutely gorgeous sounds.
Wow.
And so this is what I've been into recently, and I can't really write pop music with this. It's too abstract. But that's what's so inspiring to me about it, is like this isn't something that I can just boot up on my computer. It takes work to like make something sound beautiful.
Build it.
And it's ephemeral. It's here today, gone tomorrow, because once I unpatch everything, if I have like, 30 patch cables all intertwined on here, once I take it all out, I'm never gonna find that again.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get back to where I was.
So it's really all about just experimenting and playing with your mood, and that's where, like you were saying, how it comes into play.
Yeah.
What you're feeling in that moment.
Exactly.
And how you can build on that.
And it's so exploratory. I'm no longer like sitting there thinking about which note I'm gonna like play like to go with this beat or like advance the melody. It's like, how can I just explore music and just experience it and have a conversation with this machine to like find something that I think is gorgeous. And
This is beautiful.
It is beautiful, and this took me, actually it only took me a couple minutes to put together, but
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
I have to read a lot of manuals.
Yeah.
And this is a relatively simple patch. I mean, I can sit here and like find new ways to patch different things together all day long. So, you know, when I say I come up here and I spend hours up here after work,
Right.
I am
How
just,
could you not?
I'm just sitting here
Yeah.
like diving into this thing. I have a larger case in the mail that's on the way with more modules in the mail to put into it.
That's so.
And I have to constantly step back and say, is this actually worth the money that I'm spending on it? And each time so far, the answer has been yes, though that value number is continuing to get bigger and bigger.
But just think about my 5-year plan question.
Yeah.
Like, think about how much you've evolved in your sound in the last year, let alone the last 10 of you being here, and how you can carry that on to different venues and different, you know, push the envelope out there.
Yeah,
You know? And
yeah, I agree. And this is a community, the Eurorack community, it's called Eurorack. Has exploded throughout quarantine. So many people had nothing to do and wanted some new hobby to get into, and a bunch of people have started buying all this stuff. And most of these modules, these are some of the most popular ones that you can get, are sold out like worldwide.
Wow.
It's like almost impossible to buy things. So I'm trying to like scour like used forums to find like
it's
different
like
things.
that.
Yeah, and like people are marking them up like $100 above like what they sell for new.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a very strange but cool community that is steadily growing, and I'm growing with it.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So I guess the more that you dive into the different modules, the more you want to add to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
kind of like getting tattoos.
It's highly addicting.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always one more module that will change everything. It only costs $400.
No thanks. So while we're here, you just said that you made these lights.
I did make them.
How did you do that?
When I first got into DJing several years ago, I had the opportunity to play my first wedding, and I wanted to, with the money I made from that wedding, which, you know, weddings pay pretty well, I wanted to like invest back into my DJing in the best way I could, so I wanted to improve my light show. But I had like $1,200, and every professional lighting designer I talked to was like, that'll get you nothing. Like, you're not gonna like do anything for your live show with $1,200 worth of lights. So I'm like, well, I want to do something.
Right.
So I like got into like how to use these LED lights and address them individually, and like it took me like a month of research to know what I was doing, and then another month to like buy all this stuff and through trial and error get it actually working, much to my dismay that it actually worked. And yeah, they helped me get more gigs early on because I was the guy with the cool lights.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Nick, and that's how Nick and I got together. He saw me at a show and thought my lights were cool, and we became friends. So yeah, this one is kind of busted. That third strip is not working. I need to fix it. But I think they're really cool, and I'll just like stare at them all the time.
Oh my gosh, I would never leave this place.
Like I said, this is the dojo, my sanctuary.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thanks
It's
for coming,
been
Courtney.
a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure.
I'm for real gonna come back before you head on to your next adventure once your drum kit's back and whatever other gizmos and gadgets you
Please do.
bring along.
I would be happy to have you.
So let everyone know where we can find your music, website, all that good stuff.
Everything's on Instagram, as everyone knows, and I'm sure that you'll tag me and everything, so just look at my Instagram.
Yeah, remember the name.
Shoyei.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
Awesome. That's so great.
No wasted minutes, fading sunlight, yeah. You were never satisfied. Long days, full swing, late nights dancing. I will always wonder why. Coming off jealous, coming off distant. You were never really mine. Disappearing often, in and out of focus. I can't feel your touch. Stop. Think. Stop. Drink. Stop. Think. Drinking without you. Don't know when to stop. Oh, don't come too close. Don't let these feelings show. I know it's true. Don't know where it stops. I'm overthinking. You's got me drinking. You don't know when to stop. Oh, don't come too close. Don't let these feelings show. I know it's true. Don't know where it stops. I'm overthinking. You's got me drinking. Drink. Stop. Think. Stop. Drink. Stop. Think. Stop. Drink. Stop. Think. Stop. Drink. Stop. Think. Stop. Waking up lovesick, thoughts of your tan lines. Our sun-kissed paradise, fresh to the finish, abandoned commitment.